Hello and welcome to the United Views preview show for Monday night's FA Cup quarter-final against Arsenal. Ben's away on holiday, so I'm Tom and I'll be your host for this evening. Make sure you subscribe to the channel using the link in the tweets. Joining me tonight is Steve. Hey Steve.
Hi, I'm Tom. Thanks for having me, mate.
And Joey's here as well. Hey Joe, how are you doing?
Good. Always a pleasure.
And of course we've got Pasha back. Everyone loves Pasha.
Oh, thank you, mate. I just hope Dennis having a great time with his girlfriend. Mark Goldrich, no offense, but we'll see how that's going to happen. Looking forward to having a chat with you guys.
Well then, let's kick
Bang
things
bang.
off. Let's kick things off. We'll be getting into the Arsenal game shortly, but first and foremost, we have to discuss the midweek win against Newcastle. We left it late. Ashley Young rescued us with, pretty much comical goal at the end. David Hare saved us a lot. Tim Krul made, a ridiculous mistake at the end, passing to Young. Steve, what do you think of the result?
I think the result is what we needed, mate. I think, like you said there, with Tim Krul making that shocking mistake, it was bad defending all round, to be honest. But I mean, if it wasn't for that, would we won the game? No, we wouldn't, mate. So we'd be saying there's more drop points. Performance-wise, again, not great, but the only positive for me, I think, we weren't lumping onto Fellaini, because when I saw him in the team sheet, I thought it was just going to be the same old, and Newcastle might pick us off, but it turns out they're pretty shit. So,
well said.
I mean, 1-0, we take it, and we'd have all taken that before the game anyway. No matter how bad the performance is, what people say, get the 3 points, and then keep trying to march on in the league.
Yeah. That's right. As Steve says there, of course, we'll take the points at the moment. 10 games left in the season, and we just need the points on the board. Joey, what do you make of the performance?
Well, we had lots of possession. It was just like a typical away performance that we've seen. Tons of possession, not too many chances, but I mean there was a few chances where we should have scored. Rooney thought he was offside on the one. Another one, Fellaini hits it straight at the keeper, and it falls to Ashley Young, and he takes his time, and he doesn't put it in the back of the net. So where there were opportunities to get the goals, but we didn't capitalize on them. But like Steve said, we didn't really lump the ball too much. We looked more for passes to feet, and that was good to see. But, with the new formation and so many new things, Rooney's back up top. You have Ashley Young on the left and Di Maria on the right playing as wingers, which we haven't really played with a lot this season. And then you have the Blind and Herrera combo, which could blossom into something really nice.
Yeah, that's a great point about the midfield. And as you say, there were chances at both ends. Obviously, Newcastle couldn't take theirs. Some poor finishing, some good saves from De Gea as well. But, Pasha, what do you make of it in terms of people saying we were lucky after the game? Do you think it's luck? And if so, do you think it's one of those things that's going to run out?
Football is luck. You got to create your chances in order to get luck. That's just football in general sense. The difference between us and Chelsea is that one of the reasons why we're not competing for the title is that Chelsea is clinical. They got the players that once they get that chance, they finish. As we saw against the game against Newcastle, we weren't clinical enough. I mean, it was pointless position game. And I hate when people say, like last season when Gaal had 95% passing rate. That's pointless. You're just passing back and forth. It's about you passing vertical passes in order to make you riskier passes, in order to try to change the type of the game. As we saw with that beautiful pass under Herrera, that's the kind of player that we need. It was pointless position game. I think it was one of the best away performances that we've had. We were not letting them dominate us. But once again, questions need to be asked about Di Maria, and obviously we've seen LVG still doesn't know his identity with his club. We keep changing formation. Players are getting back to their normal routine. As he said in his philosophy, he has a profile. As he said in his interview post-match, that Ashley Young fit his profile, because in his philosophy he has a set stone for every single player to play, and that's particular that he wants them according to his profile, which Ashley Young did a phenomenal job. It was an absolutely important 3 points, because then we had Tottenham, and then we got to play against against Liverpool at Anfield, so it was a must-win game. I mean, it was good, but at the same time, it wasn't good enough, because we're Manchester United and we expect more, but it was a solid win for the most part. Good performance, but I wasn't too happy, but yeah, that's my view.
Yeah, as you say, I mean, Steve, as Pasha says there, it was it was contrasting fortunes for Young and Di Maria in the game. Of course, Di Maria subbed off again early, around 58, 59 minutes if I'm right there. But Young, of course, he's going from strength to strength. What do you make of their relative fortunes this season?
Well, on Di Maria, I think the problem is, I think Joey said it there, we're not clinical. And I think there's a fine line between success and failure. Now, Di Maria's popped 2 absolutely brilliant balls over. The referee's called Rooney offside, he finished. If that's counted, there's an assist for Di Maria. There was another one where he's put Fellaini in. Now, Fellaini's at it straight at a goalkeeper. I mean, what can you do there? There'd be 2 assists, and we'd be sitting on here going, right, Di Maria's back. That's how close of a margin it is. Now, is that Di Maria's fault that our strikers are dog shit in front of goal when we actually create chances? I've been saying for ages, create them a chance and they'll get goals. But honestly, I don't think we're training at Carrington finishing. We must just be knocking the ball just 5 yards all the time and just keep passing the move. No one to get in front of the goal. I mean, everyone's slated Van Persie and Falcao all season. Rooney's missed 2 really good chances. And like I say, Angel Di Maria could have got 2 assists there, and then everyone be saying, "You're back, mate. Well done. You're a quality player." Ashley Young, I think the best thing about Ashley Young this season is his attitude. Does it make him a brilliant player? Does it make him actually earning his wages over the time we've had him? I don't think so. I think the way I'll put it is Ashley Young's playing out of his skin to look better than actually a mediocre Man United at the minute, whereas Di Maria's still popping chances in with ease, and he's far off the levels he's set, mate. Far off the levels.
That's an interesting point you make because, I mean, obviously Di Maria got 17 assists in the league last season, but he's playing with the likes of Benzema, Ronaldo, and he's still, I think I checked today, he's still by far and away our top chance creator. He's got about 20 more than anyone else. He's got 8 assists this season still. So Joey, how do you feel about Di Maria's performances? Do you think it's just do you think it's more the strikers, as Steve says there? Do you think it's a striking problem, say Rooney being played in midfield for a majority of the season and then being forced to play in attack again?
Yeah, I think some of the game you saw Rooney, he's playing up top by himself with Fellaini behind him, and Fellaini's supposed to be the most creative player, in that number 10 role, and that we know that's not going to come from him. So Rooney has to drop deeper to try and create something for himself, and now he's doing that with, and Di Maria's going to put a cross in or something like that, and there's nobody there. And then if you watch Di Maria in that game too, the opposition knows he's the most dangerous player on our team. Every time he picks the ball up, a defender's going to come right over to him, and then there's going to be 1 or 2 waiting for him to get by that one because they know the quality he possesses. Me personally, I don't like Di Maria out wide. I know that's, he played there for a majority of his Madrid career, but in that last year, he thrived in a midfield 3. Let him go in a midfield 3, give him minimal defensive responsibility, give him a free role, let him do what he wants, and just watch the creativity flow from him. He's best when he's picking the ball up off of Herrera or Blind, and then just running at defenders. They're scared shitless of him. He creates so many problems, and it's just he started off so well, and now it's like, what happened to him? He's got a lot going on with the burglary and things like that, but I think the guy just needs an arm around him. Louis van Gaal, I don't know if Louis van Gaal's the type of manager to, put his arm around and give him some confidence, but that's what needs to happen. Looks like he needs a little pick-me-upper and a boost. And like Steve said, it's such a fine line in football. The ball moves a certain way, and it could be a goal or not, offsides or not. Rooney got caught offsides, I think it was 6 times, and how many of them were offside? It was such a fine margin. And he could have had 2 assists, and we'd be sitting here praising him and saying, let's go, he's back. But for me, you can't sit him because any minute he can break out from that slump. And I think looking ahead to the Arsenal game, I don't think anybody on their team can handle Di Maria when he's at his best.
That's a great point. I mean, saying play him in a free role. Because, there was a good article in midweek, someone suggesting that Di Maria at Real Madrid, he thrived sort of on the chaos. He's an instinct player. And the same for Falcao as well. They thrive on movement and instinct in and around the box and sort of spotting runs of players, whereas Van Gaal's game is perhaps a little too methodical for them. But say Pasha, Falcao, he didn't get off the bench again, when we needed a goal. Do you think time's up for Falcao?
Falcao is a weird one because once again he's changing his roles to formations and stuff, and Falcao hasn't earned himself to get a spot. If you look at all the previous clubs that Falcao has played in, he's been the lone striker. He's been the main player on that team. Now coming to the likes of United, he has to compete with Wayne Rooney. He has RVP. He's Di Maria, Mata. You know, he's not the main guy as he's in United, and he's never been played as a partner role with a striker up top, right? So that's another new thing that he's used to. The thing with Falcao is that to get the best out of him is if you want to play in a 4-2-3-1 and let Rooney or Mata or Hera sit behind him, or Di Maria, for example, and let the guy just make the goals and stuff for himself. But the thing with Falcao is that he's in a weird situation because if you look at his credentials and stuff, he has some ridiculous goal tally ratio that he's done for his previous clubs. And at United, you know, he's settling in after that massive injury he had. Unfortunately, he missed out on the World Cup because of that. I believe he torn his ACL, if I'm not mistaken. And, you know, the guy could do it. But once again, once you come out of that injury, it takes time. And for me, I feel like he's not going to be at United. I feel like what we've done for him is rebuild his fitness for him to score 30 other goals for another club, because that's been our luck these past couple of years. And that's sad to say, really, because I feel that's the outcome of it. I do like Falcao because you got to look about it, James Wilson and our youngsters. How there's RVP, there's Wayne Rooney to look up to. James Wilson has RVP, Wayne Rooney to Falcao to look up to. Three different players with three different nationalities where they grew up with different footballing styles. You know how much positive the youngster James Wilson they could take out of that. But to pay 43 million for him, maybe not. And obviously we know Mendes, he controls football, you know.
Yep.
Whatever price, you know, so you got to think about how he's going to do it. If they want to bring the price down, I doubt it, but I do want Falcao because Falcao, his name is just such a big name. But is Falcao really good enough with the system we're playing? Because it doesn't seem like he fancies two strikers now. But once again, is LVG trying to go with a 4-3-3 next year? Is he trying to see what the get out of deadwoods to see what's the best formation? We don't know that because in his previous years he's always playing 4-3 attacking style, false nine, whatever you want to call it. The Falcao thing is weird because he didn't play, obviously. He didn't even come off the bench, and I don't see him being at United. And that's tough to say because that could be seen as a failure for him to get rid of Danny Welbeck, making that risk. But once again, Danny Welbeck is sitting on the bench at Arsenal now. You know, he hasn't played in a couple of days, but it's weird. That's football. I hope to see him start somehow against Arsenal, but it's just a matter of time to see if he's going to show himself or not. Who knows? Maybe it's not always about goals, as I said. I've said this many times. It's not. He doesn't care about the number of goals. He just wants to see if the guy could fit his philosophy. As he said, that goal, that assist he gave to Fellaini, Fellaini scored. I forget who it was. He said that's the kind of guy as I want as a striker. It's not all about goals. But Falcao's a weird situation because it doesn't seem like even with James Wilson being out and RVP being out, he didn't even get a chance. And towards the end, he opted for Michael Carrick and Mata coming on, for example. So it's a weird situation, but we'll see.
Yeah, as you say, I mean, same question to you, Steve. Do you see a future, regardless of how talented Falcao is, do you see a future for him in any of Van Gaal's potential formations?
As a starter, to be honest, I don't know, because for me there's still so many areas that United need to sort out to get Louis van Gaal's system. I mean, I'm with Pasha on that. I'd love to see Falcao with us next season. Obviously, people talk about the money, but the thing with Falcao is, I mean, his goal record speaks for itself. So he could go two ways, Falcao, with us this season. What he could do is he could stand up top, just in between two defenders, and just stand there all game. And then people will come off and slate him. And I tell you what, he could go into an interview after and just say, well, what do you want me to do, mate? I didn't get the ball. My teammates aren't passing to me. I'm meant to score. Then the fans will be on his back. No, but what does he do? He puts in a shift for a player who's ridiculous in front of goal. He isn't comfortable coming on the halfway line, controlling the ball and smacking it out wide. But that's what he does. He gets smashed over every single week doing it because he wants to play for this club. Now, would I be bothered if United go out and spend 43 million on him? No, I wouldn't. Not one bit. Because the money's getting stupid in football now. Absolutely stupid. And the one thing, even if he did go, the one thing that I will feel for him, I mean, the media will be all over him. Like Pasha said, you look at stats and goals to games and stuff. And I have no doubt if he goes back to Spain or somewhere, this will just be a training exercise for him in England this year, get his fitness back, and Falcao will go. It'll be a shame to see, but I mean, I don't think his reputation will be too on by mate. But yeah, I'd love him to stop. I'd love him to stop with us.
It's a great point you make there. Like, he pretty much, if he leaves, he's going to walk into a team that's going to be built around him to score goals, and pretty much guaranteed going to score goals. I mean, Joe, how do you feel about Falcao? Do you think he's going to stay, or do you think we should look to build the team around him, or is he too old and too expensive to do that?
Sorry, I was muted. It's going to be strange because, we didn't. He hasn't. You guys have been talking. Pasha made the point with two strikers. We didn't build a system around him. We didn't make it easy for him to transition into our side. He's a good player, and these knee injuries are very, very serious. It's not to be taken lightly. I mean, I know he had his knee injury, and he tried as hard as he could to come back, and might have even tweaked it again. He's not going to be sold for $43 million to any club in Europe, so you're going to get him at a little bit of a discount, because I don't see anybody paying that. Monaco say they'd be happy to have him back, and the way they played against Arsenal, I mean, they'd be dangerous with an informed Falcao. I want to see him stay because I look around and I don't know who's going to be available in the summer. Even if I don't know if we need a striker. We have Rooney, we have Van Persie, we have Wilson. But it'll be interesting because Van Persie or Falcao, obviously Van Persie's under contract. It's easier to just send Falcao back. But Van Persie's getting up there in age. I know he's like 3 or 4 years older than Falcao. It's going to be a strange one. But there's rumors of Lewandowski coming in, but can you really see that? There's other areas we need to strengthen, I think, before striker. I think Rooney should be up top no matter what. But I mean, I would love Falcao to say, like Steve said, I wouldn't be mad. Has he lit it up? No. Can he do it? I mean, he's going to get chances to prove himself. There's still two months left in the season, 10 really important Premier League games. I would start him against Arsenal because I think he could cause their back line some damage. I think Gabriel, their new center back, is injured, so Mertesacker is going to be playing. I think he can cause Mertesacker nightmares. So it'll be interesting. He'll get a chance to prove himself. He's not done yet. He will still get a chance to prove himself in these last couple months. It's not over for him.
That's a good point you make. Him up against Mertesacker potentially, and that brings us, nicely onto the preview part of the show. We've obviously got Arsenal up on Monday, and it's going to be tough regardless. I mean, a lot of United fans are confident going into this one. We've got a decent record against, the big sides this season. But Pasha, are you confident going into this game? Do you think we can cause Arsene Wenger's side problems, or do you think?
Yeah, man, Arsene Wenger can't win against top clubs for shit, man. Fucking hell, what the fuck has he done? Now they got a boner over beating Man City. Great job. Look at their goal tally against in Old Trafford since 2009. Absolutely dog shit. And the thing is, this is what's gonna happen on Monday, and I'll bet you. He's learned a lot that he can't play that free-flowing game against top clubs as he wants to do. The game, they're going to approach this game as they did against Man City, which they did a great job, sitting back and then counter-attacking. Listen, I'm not worried about Arsenal, to be honest with you, one bit, because, you see, every single one of those players, in back of their head, they know they've never beaten United, So it's going to be tough for them. The only player on that team that wants to show themselves is Danny Welbeck and Alexis Sanchez because, they're trying to. Because Alexis Jones came to a new club, and he's the only factor in that whole team that actually motivates the players, unlike Arsene Wenger. Every player that they've given, they go, oh, Alexis Jones is motivated, so it's blah, 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 instead of Arsene Wenger. So I think we'll ran over Arsenal simply because we're playing at Old Trafford, and we're bringing that 70 things back at Stratford Down with the flags and stuff, so that's going to be wonderful to see. It's going to be a great atmosphere. And once again, it's these kind of nights that Di Maria and players like Falcao that are low in confidence that could get themselves back in with the atmosphere and trying to score goals. I just don't see Arsenal beating us. I'm no disrespect to them. They know they suck, but no disrespect to them. I just don't see them beating United. And especially as Joey said, you got to remember, Mertesacker once used to be their hero. Now he's been absolutely atrocious this year and awful. Absolutely awful, and Koscielny has been the best center back. Gabriel Paulista just got injured against QPR, so we got to beat them with pace. That's all that matters. And Arsenal doesn't have a good record at Old Trafford, so I'm really shocked. I don't want to say this, but I'm just going to say it. Louis van Gaal shows his balls in Bayern Munich in the locker room. He's definitely going to show his big balls to Arsenal to show him who's coming back into town. And this game, there's one thing I do want to make a point. Sorry if I'm talking about. This point isn't just about the FA Cup game. This game is also about a tough race to show the mentality between Arsene Wenger versus Louis van Gaal. This game is more about just us getting to the Wembley. It's showing about the two sides coming together to talk about the EPL side that, look, we're better than you guys, right? So it's a lot to do with this game. It's about fear factor. It's about emotions. It's going to be a great game. And I hope to see Arsene Wenger crying and blaming the ref.
Well, it's fair to say Pasha's pretty confident about that one. 15 seconds of Pasha there. Steve, how do you feel about this one? Are you confident going into it, or are you worried about the threat of Arsenal, say Alexis on the counter, or do you think they'll play into United's hands?
Pasha's gone to town there on his Arsenal fan body, hasn't he? Listen, Arsenal are going to cause problems. Welbeck's going to come back. I think this will be his first game back at Old Trafford. Theo Walcott. I mean, they have got some quality. It's the mentality, like Pasha said. They've had two probably good results in about 10 years against big sides. Beat Bayern a couple of years ago, and then beat City. But if you look at City's form since, was that a big win? You know what I mean? They're going on about Coquelin like he's the next Makelele. You know what I mean? Again, we know what Arsenal fans are about. They are going to be a threat. The record United's poor. Wenger's record against most big-time managers is poor. I still fancy United to get through, purely because there's a chance to go to Wembley. United haven't been there for about 4 or 5 years, I think, in a cup final anyway. I think the last FA Cup final was about 2007. It's been too long for a club like United. It's been too long. It's a great chance this season. And for me personally, whoever wins this goes on to win the cup. So they do cause problems, but they've got problems a lot like we have. You know what I mean? I don't think they're great at finishing, and I think defensively they're absolutely woeful if Mertesacker is playing. So, hopefully it's toe-to-toe, and United come out on top.
It's a good point Steve makes there about the winners of this game potentially being favourites, although we've got to remember, obviously, that if Liverpool reach the final, it would be certain Steven Gerrard's birthday on the day of the final. So that would be interesting. But Joey, what do you think about the tie? Are you confident going into it? Do you think it's, say, Louis van Gaal versus Arsene Wenger rather than United v Arsenal? Or which players do you think will decide it on the day?
Well, in the last 10 at Old Trafford, we've won 9 and drawn 1. So, it seems like the media and us as fans, we always drill that, and Arsenal's record against the top clubs on the road and things like that. But these records are meant to be broken. So they'll have some confidence knowing that they came into Manchester and beat City. But like Steve said, City, I don't think they're that good. I'm surprised they're where they're at now, and I would fancy us against them, City even. But I am confident. I think for me, there's 2 big questions. It's who's going to give up possession. And will 3 at the back return? Because I wouldn't be surprised if we played 3 at the back, similar to the game earlier in the season. I think it was in November at the Emirates. I'm not I don't completely hate the 3 at the back. I think it can be a decent formation, especially like a team against Arsenal. I wouldn't be mad if we gave up the possession and tried to hit them on the break, because I think that there's a few things that they could do to help us. Obviously, Mertesacker is going to play. Rosicky has seemed to come into a good form the last couple games, but I'm hoping they put Ozil out wide, because I think if they do that, that'll do us a huge, huge favor, because he's not the type of player to put in any defensive work, any pressing on the ball. It looks like he's he doesn't even want to be bothered. So if they put him out wide, I think that'll favor us. And I think tactically, Louis van Gaal is a better tactical manager than Arsene Wenger. It's taken Arsene Wenger how many years to realize that you can't go on the road against the top teams and try and play your dominant style of pretty football. It just doesn't work. You would think that would have hit him earlier. But Wayne Rooney likes to score against Arsenal. I would think Rooney could be a danger man for us. I think Di Maria, if he plays, could be. But they've got some good players on their team, too. Danny Welbeck will want to prove himself at Old Trafford. And Alexis Sanchez scored a goal the last game for them against QPR. Alexis Sanchez is a good player. He didn't have a good game against us the first time, so he worries me. But like I said, they're there for the taking. I mean, if they're going to come in with a 4-3-3 with Rosicky, Coquelin, and Cazorla in the midfield, I think we can bully them around a little bit. And I think, it's going to be interesting. Like I said, those two questions I had was who's going to give up possession and is three at the back in a return. So, yeah.
Yeah,
but I am confident.
I think that's a really interesting point you make about the possession there, because it seems like the tie might be decided by the side that has the least possession. If you saw Arsenal, I don't know if any of you watched Arsenal against Everton, but for the first half an hour, it was straight after the Monaco game, Arsenal seemed petrified of having the ball. They didn't want it. They were content to let Everton have the ball. United, obviously, this season, they've really gone for possession, but with three at the back, they might sit back, let Arsenal come onto them and break. But the question is, whether we have the actual pace to break against Arsenal. So, Pasha, who would you potentially drop for the game? Would you go for the same team that started against Newcastle and won, or would you adapt the tactics?
Listen, I'll go with the same team against Newcastle. The only player I'll bring out, I'll put Fellaini out, and I'll bring Januzaj in. I'll put Di Maria behind Wayne Rooney. Because Per Mertesacker and Coach Chiellini, they're too slow, let's be honest. Right? Coach Chiellini is a little bit pacier, but the thing with Arsenal is that if you beat them with pace immediately, right as you play the game, they'll just want to pull back, and as they get more pressure, they're most willing to push back, and that's going to create more chances for us. So I really want to see us to just beat them with pace, just keep going at them, and just bring in players. Like, I really want to see Di Maria behind Rooney for some reason, because I always feel like he's better centrally in the free role than always being out wide, as we've seen. And Januzaj on the right wing, he always gets up, he always tries his best, young lad that always wants to give it all. And he's a boy that could do anything, and damn right he can. And Ashley Young, he's doing much, much better. I'm happy to see him playing for the badge, and that goal celebration against Newcastle touching the badge. That means a lot to the fans, Fans love to see that. Somebody kissing the badge and stuff. Yeah. So it'll be great. My big question is, if Shaw is out, I honestly think it would be better to put Blin as left back, put Rojo as a center back, bring Carrick in the heart of the midfield alongside Herrera, because I don't want to see Rojo playing as left back, because that just leaves Smalling with Phil Jones and Paddy McNair, which I honestly trust McNair more than Phil Jones these days. So for some reason I just feel like if Shaw isn't back, I would rather see Daley Blind as left back and put Carrick alongside Herrera to bring that balance, because Carrick has been absolutely phenomenal against top teams. He's such an underrated player, and rival clubs don't fancy him and stuff because he's not Carrick and Inyo. He's not a Brazilian or anything. But I fancy us to batter Arsenal to pieces, and Coquelin, god dang. The thing with Arsenal fans, man, they overhype their players so much. As he's a Makalele fucking sake. Like my grandma could probably do a better job than that motherfucker in Arsenal, man. Shit.
I gotta be fair, he's done pretty well this season, but he's still, an okay defensive midfielder.
Yes.
No, Steve, what do you think about this? Would you go along with Pasha's suggestions potentially in defence? Do you think we should put Di Maria in a more forward role despite his form and bring Januzaj in? What would you go for?
Yeah, he's bang on with the defence, mate. Rojo, left back, not for me. Obviously, I'd prefer Blind there. Although Blind he isn't the quickest, but I think he's got it upstairs. And it's one of them. I think he's a lot more comfortable there than what Rojo is. We need Rojo centre back. Me personally, the ones I'd get rid of, Evans without a shadow of a doubt, and Fellaini, and I'd put Mata in behind Rooney. Mata can perform against Arsenal. Seen him have some cracking games with Chelsea, and at home at Old Trafford, he's unreal. I think Mata could be the key. I'd have Di Maria out one side and Ashley Young the other.
That's a good point.
That's where I'd go. That's my personal side. Anyway, I don't know. I'd bring in for Evans. It could be anyone. Give Pasha a run out. You know what I mean? He's dying. He's dying. Put the shirt on, and give him a run out than Evans. Shit.
He'll do a job. He'll do a job like Coquelin, Anyway, you mentioned there actually a certain Mr. Johnny Evans. He's just come out tonight saying he denied the spitting ban, the spitting at Papi Cisse, and of course the FA have charged him. He faces a 6-match ban, potentially more if the FA decide it's a frivolous appeal. Joey, what do you think of the whole incident?
I just think they're both cowards. You know, I don't get the whole thing of spitting at each other. I think that's, obviously biting is the worst thing you can do on that we've seen. But I just think I watched it. At first I didn't want to give judgment because I saw it live like everybody else. But at the end of the game, I kept watching it over and over, and I'm trying to decide what was going on. And it looks like, Evans spits at the ground to the right of him to get him riled up, to see if he can get him to react. And he reacted, and I think Evans thought he might be sent off for that. Regardless, he spit at him. Cisse, I mean, that's just coward. Who spits at somebody? Like, I'd rather you punch me in the face than you spit at me. It's just stupid. Johnny Evans didn't do himself any favors by coming out and saying, whatever, because we can all clearly see spit come from his mouth. And it's not like he was talking. It was, one of them hawk it up and launch it at him. I don't think he meant to hit him, though. I think he was, like I said, trying to get him riled up. Like I said, it's just some coward. We don't need that. I mean, we don't need controversy around our team, and I don't want us in the news. I want us in the news for good reasons, not negative things. This is negative light on the club. The rest of the world already hates us. Don't give them a reason to.
Well, really well said there. I mean, Pasha, do you agree with that? What do you make of the whole incident?
Yeah, man, it's more reasons to hate Johnny Evans, which I love, and it's more reasons, and it's a blessing in disguise for him to leave to be left out. You think with Johnny Evans, I'll be honest with you, I really rated him, like last year and previous years ago, because he was a solid center back, and out of all of them, Chris Smalling has been the decent one. I mean, Marcus Joe overall sense has been. I'm just talking about the sense Smalling, Jones, and Evans. And the thing with Evans is that he's paving himself to leave the club with Rafael, to be honest with you. He's not doing himself much good either. And Louis van Gaal, honestly, he's going to always have it back when he's talking in press conference. But once he goes to the locker room, God knows what he's going to do to him, So it's a blessing in disguise, I'll be honest with you, especially against Arsenal, because Alexis Sanchez is running over him. Evans might piss on himself, that Alexis Sanchez is running over him. But no, I mean, it's a blessing in disguise, I'll be honest. And with the incident, not professional at all. As Joey said, two cowards displayed spitting at each other. It's vile. It's disgusting. I'd rather see if Liverpool players should be doing that. A bunch of scouts are doing that. But no, it's Johnny Evans. Goddamn. What else to say about Johnny Evans? Johnny Evans, like, just when you talk about Johnny Evans, I just think it's a synonym for shit. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, strong words there. I mean, Steve, do you think this is potentially the end of Evans's United career if he gets the ban? Do you see him making a comeback from this, or is it sort of game over?
I just find it strange that a professional footballer who consistently performs as dog shit as Johnny Evans commits career suicide. I mean, I just didn't get what he was doing. I've seen it a couple of times. I saw it live. And then, obviously, you see all the stuff blown up, and you just think, hey, up. And then I looked at after the game, and, I mean, you see the pictures, you see the slow-mo, it looks poor. The one thing I'll take of it, I mean, Johnny Evans, he's saying he didn't mean it. I think actions speak louder than words, like Joey said. The spit comes from his mouth. And the thing with Johnny Evans is his eyes never left Papi Cisse. And when that gets brought up at the FA, he's done, mate. He's done. He isn't even worthy to stop anymore. He has had good service with us, but it's just shown that he's just another player we've carried with having Rio and Vidic. And even as the stick they were getting last season, they were still bearing this joker. They'd still do a better job now. And then, I mean, to spit on another human being, it's one of the most. It's just so disrespectful, and I can't just. There's no words. There is no words. We've seen all the other stuff. I mean, some of the bans are excessive. I think the FA are a joke. You see, it's just. I mean, I remember Ben Thatcher. Remember him years ago when he smashed Pedro Mendes down at City. No, Johnny Evans is probably going to get a worse ban than that. Now, I know it is bad, but I mean that was assault. He should have been locked up.
Yeah.
It's just the ban thing that's going to annoys me more than anything. But I think Pasha said it brilliant. It's a blessing in disguise. I don't want him at Old Trafford anymore. I don't hate the guy. I think he'll just be an average run-of-the-mill Premier League player. Go back up to Sunderland or somewhere like that and he'll probably do an all right job, but not at this club. Not at this club.
Disappointing. Yeah, it's disappointing because I mean he showed real potential, 3-4 years ago, and he's been given the ideal chance to step up with departure of Vidic and Rio, but it's just not happened for him. So, as you say, probably another one destined for Stadium of Light. I mean, and just building on that anyway, he may be out. We'll find out tomorrow, but he may be out of Monday's game. Joey, we'll come back to you. Predictions for Monday. What do you think the scoreline will be?
I think there's potentially this one's got goals in it because I think both sides are poor defensively. I think it's going to be 4-2 to us. I think there's going to be some goals. We haven't seen that, Yeah, I mean, it could be that way, or it could be, Arsenal could come there, try and nick a 1-0, or play for the draw and play for the replay. But I think it's going to be 4-2. I think there's going to be a lot of goals in this. And I just wanted to give you my team. I think I would play Falcao as the 9, and I would drop Rooney beneath him because I think Rooney will put more work in the midfield than Mata will and Di Maria. But I would stick with the same formation. I'm really hoping Shaw is healthy, though, because I think that's key.
Yeah, I mean, sure, if he can make a comeback, he's so important down that flank, especially with Arsenal's speed. I mean, Pasha, what are your predictions?
Yeah, the reasons why I don't think it's going to be, a high scoring game because we don't have, Tom Cleverley and Anderson in midfield to batter him 8-2 like we did before. But I think it'll be like 2-1, I mean, that just shows, man. Imagine, God damn, Tom Cleverley and Anderson 2-1, and that just shows you what a great man Sir Alex Ferguson was. Got the best out of his players, man. Perfect man because of his man management. But I think it'll be 2-1, and I see them scoring a goal, obviously, but I just don't see them winning. And that's no disrespect to Arsenal. I just do not see them winning.
Yeah. Steve, 4-2, 2-1, some goals predicted already. Are you going for a high-scoring game, or do you think it's going to be tighter than that?
Joey's brave with that 4-2. I mean, the roof would explode at Old Trafford with that on Monday. I'm with Pasha 2-1's my score. I think both teams will score. Defensively, they're atrocious. Finishing wise, I think both sides have got that extra, just a little bit of quality that they can score worldy goals. Yeah, I think if United draw and it goes back to the Emirates, done and dusted. United are out, but United need to win. I think I'm 99% sure they'll probably win Monday, but I'm not expecting a spectacle. It wasn't when we went there in November, but would I take it again every day of the fucking week?
That's bold, yep. 3 predictions, 3 predictions of wins there. Lovely to see. I mean, I'm just going to play devil's advocate here for a moment. There's been a lot of talk about Van Gaal, a lot of frustration from the fans. It's obviously a massive game in terms of our season. It could potentially make or break our season with such a heavy fixture list coming up. Joey, do you think that Van Gaal needs to win the FA Cup and finish 4th in order to be safe this summer?
No, I don't. I mean, if we don't win the FA Cup, I wouldn't be. Obviously, I really want to win it. It's the best chance of the trophy. It's a competition that we've won it the most. I think we need to win it. But if we don't win it, I won't be too upset. I'm more concerned with getting back into the Champions League. And it's not even the fact of getting back into the Champions League. It's that we need to keep attracting these star players because that's what we need. We need quality. But I don't think you can sack him even if he doesn't get either. Because then what are we going to do? We're going to start over again? It just doesn't work that way. You can't just sack a manager every single year if they don't give you what you want. You have to build on it. And I think I don't know if it was this post game or something. Louis van Gaal said, I got 5 new players adjusting to a new league and myself. He's like, and he said it in the interview. He's like, I like attacking football. I like 4-3-3 attacking football. Give them the time. And if we get in the top 4, we'll get those players in this summer because it's a rebuild job. I've heard Steve say it all the time. It's a rebuild. And people tend to get impatient because the media keeps banging that 150 million pounds he spent. But if you look at it, all those players are starting players. It's not like we bought squad players with 150 million. We bought quality players. Angel Di Maria, man of the match in the Champions League. Daley Blind was the Ajax and Dutch player of the year. There's some quality they brought in, and it takes time. You can't just throw a bunch of world-class players on the pitch and expect them to just win. Look at the Real Madrid side. They've built that team over the years by getting 1 or 2 world-class players a year. And I think you can't sack him. I don't think so. Obviously there's that contingent of fans that are up his ass and saying, he's got to do this and he's got to do that. That doesn't help when you put unnecessary pressure on the manager and the club. People need to just relax. I don't like watching the performances. You think I enjoy watching us, pass the ball around and only win 1-0 at Newcastle? I want to see attacking football too, but I see the bigger picture. You have to just give it time and be patient. Everybody wants instant success no matter what, not just football. Just take your time. Louis van Gaal's shown he can do it. He did it at Bayern Munich. He built that team. He brought in some of those players. He promoted Thomas Muller, Alaba, who scored a cracker of a free kick last week. Badstuber. He knows what he's doing. Let him do his thing.
That's a great point there. Pasha, I normally hate these questions, but if it comes down to it, would you take an FA Cup or top 4 this season?
You got obviously, we haven't won the FA Cup since we beat Millwall, I think back in 2004. So it's been a long time. But in the business aspect of it, obviously FA Cup is a second-tier trophy. Obviously, we want to get into top 4 because of the business aspect of it, getting the Champions League money and the Adidas sponsorship that we're getting. That's a big money that comes into it. And apparently, if we don't get top 4, we're going to lose a lot of that. Listen, our fans are spoiled, right? Fergie spoiled all of us, let's be honest. We always expect trophies and stuff, Look at every single top manager, right? I'm going to name you. Jose Mourinho, Carlo Ancelotti, Pep Guardiola. If they ever got the job to come and inherit a broken team, would you think they would come and ruin their own image? Hell no. All right? Louis van Gaal is a type of manager that comes and rebuilds a team and lays out the seed for another top manager to come and, and grow it all out. The thing with me is I would honestly, a perfect season would be getting top 4 and winning the FA Cup. Obviously, that'd be a really, really defining moment. And in all of Louis van Gaal's career, he's always won at least one trophy, either that second-tier trophy or the league title. He's a top manager. And every top manager you see, they're twisted in their own mind. They're different. They have a different way of approaching football. And that's what you want from Louis van Gaal. He's not direct, And I love the guy. And there's no point of sacking. I don't understand why people say the word sack. If we sack every single manager that comes, the philosophies then. What are we playing for? Just new manager comes in, sack. We're going to end up like Liverpool and Chelsea? What's the point? And it just makes me mad because our fans have been so spoiled, and it's come to a point that some of our fans are actually turning into delusional fans, thinking that we should sack every manager. Listen, the difference between David Moyes and Louis van Gaal was just going to keep getting worse with David Moyes. Louis van Gaal has shown progress. He inherited a broken squad. David Moyes inherited the champions, man. Imagine Louis van Gaal inherited the champions, And it just shows you, David Moyes was playing with Fergie side. He wasn't playing with his own side. Louis van Gaal got rid of the table and he's making his own team, because that's just a manager you want to see to show himself. And the media hates us. The whole world does hate us. As they're saying that their hate makes us stronger, right? So, I don't understand this thing that United fans think we should sack him. I honestly think we'll win the FA Cup. There's something in me that I just see that happening. But, no, this thing about sacking the manager, that's all pointless talk. If it's getting worse, if there was no progress, 2 losses in 22 games. Come on, we've been playing dog piss. But if we were playing with under that on we'll lose every fucking 22 games of this shit. You fucking kidding me? Imagine telling...
It's a great point you make there. We're winning despite not playing well.
One more thing I do want to say, Tom. Do you think Louis van Gaal is going to tell Rio and Vidic to go look at videos of Phil Jagielka? Fuck no, mate.
No, not at all. I don't think anyone's going to be doing that anytime soon. Not Phil Jagielka even. Everton are getting relegated, aren't they? So, Steve, we've you've said some colourful things about people sort of hating on Van Gaal over the last few weeks, and you've gotten a lot of support, on Twitter a bit recently. What do you make of it? Do you think we need top 4 in a trophy, or do you think we need to see sort of better performances?
Some of the criticism over the past few weeks, I was having to defend Louis van Gaal after Leicester away. It was in September, and this is how bad some of our fans are. I'm not saying all the fans are. You do get a small minority at every club, but Twitter's littered with them, absolutely littered with them, and it's the same at the stadiums. Now, I'll go on a little bit of one here. Last season, one of the biggest things was we need a winner. David Moyes isn't a winner. He's a Preston manager. So the club listen. The board listen. Right, David Moyes' position now is untenable. Nobody wants to turn up next season. Players, I firmly believed, were turning down Manchester United because of David Moyes. Wasn't a winner, wasn't well known, and there was nothing there. He had no plan. Divering Dave. That's what he was. So the board listen, take a bit at a time, let Giggsy settle in. We bring in one of the world's most renowned winners. You want to know how much of a winner is? You watched Louis van Gaal's press conference yesterday, arguing with absolutely everyone. The media. He doesn't take no shit. And this is from people who all they're doing is they've got to be there for 10 minutes every week to ask him a question. Can you imagine what he's like on a football pitch with some of the players who aren't pulling the weight? This is what we needed. I've been asking for a manager like this after Ferguson because it needed a clear out. And this is exactly what he's doing. I'm fully behind him, Mark, because I can see, I think a lot of, Pasha said it there, a lot of the fans buried their head in the sand when we were winning league titles, celebrating holding up 20. Yeah, it's going to be 21 next season. Way off. Absolute way off. He's here to do a job, and it's the same. I think Joey touched on it there with people just make comparisons with, well, Real Madrid, they're always successful, and Barcelona. Well, yeah, they are, but their managers don't buy the players. That's upstairs. You know what I mean? They'll say, right, he's only got about a year left, so what we'll do is we'll get a scout on, and he's going to be replaced. We're going to sell him for a stupid fee. He's phased out. They're ruthless, absolutely ruthless with players and managers. All their managers do is come in and say, you've got to work with these players. And if you're not successful, you do one, because we've got you a squad that's capable of winning. Now, the squad that Louis van Gaal inherited last summer, and people keep coming back to me, oh, well, we'd be a lot higher if we'd have beat Swansea on the opening day of the season, and we beat Sunderland away, and Leicester, and the other games like that. Well, I'm sorry, but we had the same squad as last season. Louis van Gaal showed it was absolute garbage. And then the 150 million stuff. I mean, I was actually a bit disappointed he didn't spend a bit more, if I'm being honest, because the old war chest of 250 million last season, I was like, oh, we could have done with a couple of more world-class players. But the one thing I'll say with Louis van Gaal is people forget actually what time he took over the club. I think it was mid-July. He had a week at Carrington, maybe less. Someone might pull it up, I don't know. And then he went out to the States. And was that enough time to assess a squad of failing players? I don't think so. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Van Gaal isn't going anywhere unless, I mean, two losses in 22. Do you think he's going to lose 9 out of the next 10 and his position become untenable? I don't think so. He's going absolutely nowhere. He's going up. The thing will be the next manager who comes in will they'll be saying what a setup that he's left. I'm 100% sure that'll happen. 100%.
Yeah, as you say there, I mean, every club he's been at, people have said that he leaves a legacy, and potentially even more so than, say, a title or a Champions League. A legacy is perhaps the most important thing that Van Gaal can leave for the next manager, if it's, say, Giggs or someone. I mean, that's great points from everyone. I mean, that's all we've got time for tonight, for this United preview show. Arsenal, we've gone for 3 victories there, 3 predictions of victories from you guys. Everyone's pretty confident of that. Everyone's pretty confident of Van Gaal staying as well, and a top 4 place. So, it should be easy. It's not like we've got...
Tom, can I say one thing? If any Arsenal fan is going to see it, I hope Jack Wilshere starts, and I hope Paddy Baker starts to give that bitch boy another beating. It's been a long time I haven't seen him on the pitch. Thank you.
Leave a reduce on him. I mean, it's not going to be hard to injure him, is it? Blown over by...
Sneeze on him.
We should mention, actually, I'll give you all a chance to come on here. Joey, where can we find you tweeting?
At Joey Tabor, and my YouTube channel is the same thing.
Cool, great. Pasha, same to you.
My Twitter handle is at PAS8021. You might find out I'm Iranian. Don't worry, I'm friendly. We're Iranian. Don't freak out. All good.
Great. And Steve, let's have yours.
You can't. I'm quitting Twitter.
You can't
At
call
SGCW7.
Sorry, say that again.
At SGCW7.
Brilliant. Okay, we should mention before we go that we've got a competition winner. A little drum roll, please. And winner, there we go. And the winner of the photograph is none other than Chris Braithwaite. So congratulations, Chris.
Hey!
That picture will be winging its way to you via post or owl or whatever system we're going to use.
Congrats.
Might be worth a little bit when he's Spain and Real Madrid #1. So keep it, treasure it, love it. But
what a way to end that show! What a way to end that show! Yeah, we're gonna win the FA Cup, top 4. Oh, your goalkeeper's going.
You can't fight fates, dude. You can't fight.
I thought Mark Goldberg's got. Never mind.
All right, guys. Thanks for that. All right, we'll be back on Monday night. We'll be back on Monday night with a review show of the Arsenal game. So until then, come on United.